it's Grandma Roseanne, and I'm so glad you could come because I'm going to teach you something today that I know you've never made because I think my dad created this recipe. It was in our family for years. He made it only at Christmas time. We wanted it when we were kids all the time, and he wouldn't do it, but it became a very special candy to us because we only got it once a year. Then my father passed away, and the recipe was gone. And I have 3 brothers. None of us got that recipe. It was really sad. And then last year, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, Tina, who we were small children together, and she said, I just finished making your dad's candy. I said, you have that recipe? She said, yeah. I said, oh my gosh, send it to me. So now it's back in our family again, and it is so delicious. So what we're going to be using is 12 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and we're going to put it into a double broiler. Now, if you don't have a double broiler, that's not a deal breaker. All you're going to do is put a pan and then another pan or a bowl on top of it. The main thing is you don't want the water of that bowl to touch the other. You want it to be able to melt. You don't want to cook it. So you need to have a separation in there. So we have the chocolate chips in there, and then 12 ounces of butterscotch morsels, okay? And that goes in there. Then we put it over the double broiler, and all we're going to do is just stir it and let it melt. That's all we're going to do at this point, okay? Just stir and melt. There's the light up here. That might help a little bit too. Now, this will take just a little bit of time. The reason that you want to be able to do this in a double boiler is your chocolate does have the ability to burn. And if it burns, I mean, you're just out of luck. Throw the whole thing away and start over again. But when you have a double broiler and it's just warm on the bottom and you have it just good, nice heat coming up, that's all you need. See, it's starting to melt already. It doesn't take very long. Really doesn't. Just like that. Okay. So this is melting really, really nicely. So it's becoming very smooth. But if you'll see, there's still some chunks in there. And I really don't want any chunks in here. So I'm going to let this continue to just heat for a little bit more until we get all of those chunks really melted down. I just think that it's a smoother candy when you've been able to do that. All right. All right, so this is melted down. We don't have any little chips left in it. And what we're going to do now is add 1.5 cups of peanut butter. I love this measuring tool that I have here because what it has done, it allows you to see that there is no air holes in there. And then all you do is just pop it like that, and the whole thing comes out. So easy. Really easy. So now then, we're going to allow this to incorporate. It'll just take a minute or two. And this is, I'm using smooth, creamy peanut butter. The recipe, when my dad made it, he actually made it with crunchy peanut butter. But I had smooth. I never have crunchy. So I just made it with the smooth, and it's still just as delicious. All right, we're gonna let that incorporate for a couple minutes here. And then what we're going to do is put in marshmallows, little miniature marshmallows. And we want about 10 ounces, so that'll be like about a cup. Get in there. That would be 8. And maybe a cup and a half. There's no science to this, you guys. You can't go wrong on it. So just put in whatever. Okay, so I've got about a cup and a half of marshmallows in there. And then peanuts. We want about a cup and a half of peanuts in here as well. Cup Now I'm just going to kind of incorporate these, mix these up a little bit so that they're kind of separated. And then what we're going to do is pop the chocolate and the peanut butter, which is all really nicely incorporated now. Do you see how that is? So nice. So now we're going to pop that in to here and mix it all up. Get all that good stuff out of there. See? Every little bit. All right. Now we want the chocolate, the nuts, the marshmallow, the butterscotch, all of it just really, really mixed in well. Now what I have done is I have got a 9x11 pan, and I put a little bit of butter around it just to hold the parchment paper down and kept it in place. Now what I'm going to, you don't have to do this part. You don't have to do this part at all. What you have to do is just butter it if you want to do that, if you don't really want to have to deal with doing parchment paper. The only reason I've done it this way is it's much easier to get it out of the container if you've done this. Now, depending on what you like and what your family likes will depend on what the depth of the pan you're using. You can use a larger pan, like a cake pan, a large one, and you'll have thinner pieces of candy. Or ours are thicker, and then we will cut them smaller. So whatever you want to do for yours, it's perfect. All right, now we're just gonna dump it all in here. Just like that. Everything is coated. The marshmallows, the chocolate has gotten the nuts and the peanut butter and everything. Spread it out nice. And then what we're going to do is stick it in the freezer. That's it. It's gonna go in the freezer until it's frozen. I don't know, it could be maybe 45 minutes or an hour. But when it's done, I'll show you how to pull it out, how to cut it, and oh my gosh, it's really so good. So I'll be back after it's frozen. All right, well, our candy should be absolutely complete. So I'm gonna pull it out of the freezer. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. And we will make good use of the parchment paper. Is that just great or what, you guys? Come on. That's the best way ever. You're not having to dig into it. Now then, all you're gonna do is cut it. You can cut it in pieces like this. You can break it into chunks, whatever you like. But that's what you're getting. Look at that. Isn't that is just cool. It's just cool. My dad, I think, was one of the most wonderful people that ever was. He was the most amazing father. But he left this for us to really enjoy and to always remember him and the sweetness that he brought to our life. So, time for a taste. Oh man, that was really good. Well, it's really, really good. I'm not a chocolate person. I'm really not a candy person. I cannot leave this one alone. When it's in the house, I keep going back for more. So thank you so much for joining me. Please enjoy my dad's recipe. Make it for your kids and maybe start a family tradition, because we are now into the 3rd generation in our family for this cookie, or this candy. So thank you, enjoy.